What's up, everyone? Mike Stearns here. We're going live. So, Eric Richardson, he a live that I did with Tim Brown this morning, and he had mentioned the fact that it's super early when we go live at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. So I wanted to go live for the West Coasters out in the audience. So appreciate all you guys tuning in. We're gonna have Alan Mick coming on here shortly. He's down in Florida right now, kind of boots on the ground during Hurricane Ian's, and we're going to talk about kind of what's going on down there. Obviously, there's been a lot of people that have been negatively impacted as a result of that weather event. So he's going to talk to us about that a bit, and he's actually requesting to join now, so we're going to bring him in here. Let's see. Okay, so he should be here momentarily, and we'll get his. What's up, Alan?
How's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Just busy, running around everywhere with all this hurricane damage, man. Crazy.
Yeah, I was just kind of talking to the audience as far as, all the people that have been negatively impacted as a result of Ian and kind of what's going on. So why don't you share your vantage point, having boots on the ground, and what you're seeing?
Yeah. Obviously with Just Share Media, we get requests all the time when it comes to videos, and with this hurricane happening, just like we did with Hurricane Ida in New Orleans, we had to get boots on the ground to get some videos done for some of our clients and any future clients that might be out here helping people after this big hurricane, and they're going to need video to do that.
Sure.
So I've actually been out here since Friday. I got in right after the storm, and it's been horrible. So I've weathered a lot of different hurricanes and worst hurricanes throughout my life. And this is by far the worst hurricane damage that I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Where have you been geographically in Florida?
Geographically, so I flew to Orlando, so I wanted to play it safe and, not get shut down or get my flight canceled or anything like that.
Sure.
But I started out there, and I've been all over Tampa, Sarasota, Bradenton, Port Charlotte, Naples, Fort Myers, Bonita Springs, Cape Coral. So, the only place I haven't been is out to the islands because of the bridges being down. But I'll be out there tomorrow on the barges. So the city and some of the major players really that are helping out with the hurricane repairs, and whether it's emergency service work or mitigation work, are getting barges to barge themselves out to, and crews and people helping people out to the islands to try to save people's homes and save the island right now.
Yeah. So what areas that you've been to thus far, I'm assuming like the Port Charlotte area down that way, have been most severely impacted?
It's different in different areas, right? So your Fort Myers, your Punta Gorda, Cape Coral is a lot of water damage, right? It's really had that storm surge, and they're ravaged with water damage. But then as you go farther north, like your Port Charlotte, now there still is a lot of water damage there, but it's more roof damage, wind damage, things like that. So
Gotcha.
it's different types of damage, but it's the most widespread damage I could ever imagine to see. It's like you're driving, there's interstates that obviously run north and south all over Florida, and you're driving for 2 hours from north to south without any traffic, and you're still wind damage everywhere. And even coming out of Orlando, I'm finding commercial properties, residential properties, just places all over that are ravaged by the hurricane as well. Right now, I'm in Daytona. So, and that's all the way on the other side of Florida. And there's commercial properties that are damaged, residential properties that are damaged all over here. So if you think about that, a 2-hour drive north to south, the entire state of Florida all the way across is damaged. Yeah.
Jeez. Have you seen a lot of people kind of mobilizing to help the community outside of just contracting, shout out to Joshua with iRoofing. I know that he was out there driving across the coast to bring supplies and stuff. So I commend you for that, Josh. Great job. Do you see a lot of people doing that to kind of try to help put things back together?
You do. I really think anybody that's coming out first response, I like to believe that all people are inherently good natured, right? So I think that they may not say it appropriately, so they may get excited about the work, but I think anybody that's coming out here right away is coming out here with good intentions, right? They're coming out to help. I mean, you drive around, there's food lines, there's been food drives left and right, there's been, all kinds of just outpouring of people trying to help. Even the other communities, for the first couple of days I was staying near Orlando, and you could tell that some of the other Florida communities are actually coming to aid the ones that are more damaged.
Amazing.
So a lot of the emergency response preparations were coming in, and they were readying themselves, so they had it all ready to go. So whether it's police, whether it's line workers, whether it's just emergency responders, or just people that are out to give, and you see those people coming in from all over.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. We all know that there's a ton of people that need it right now, so it's good to hear that. So, what advice you have a lot of experience in hurricanes, especially.
Yeah. I've worked numerous hurricanes throughout my life, and I was born into the storm restoration industry, so my family has done it for decades before me. There's so much misinformation going on right now, in all different directions, good and bad, when it comes to coming out and working this hurricane. So, I don't know how much time you have, but you asked me how much advice I have to give when it comes to coming out and working this hurricane. I've got a lot.
Yeah, take out the ladle and just pour it on, bro. Let's hear it.
Marketing wise is big. So a lot of it has to do with the laws in Florida, right? It's a lot different than all over the country. I saw somebody post something the other day, and I haven't had a lot of chance to get on social media, but somebody was asking, it's weird seeing different people wearing different shirts, and you're usually different companies.
Yeah.
You have a lot of that going on, and that just has to do with Florida. Florida's hard, right? The hurricanes are hard to work. There's going to be material allocation. Obviously you have your first step, which is licensing issues, insurance, workers' comp, payroll, things like that.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, you've got material allocations, you've got crews that are hard to find, and just your normal issues when it comes to working a hurricane like this. Many people are saying that they're months out on getting shingles right now. I talked to one roofing company, a client of ours, that they were putting in concrete tile orders before the storm, and they were 8 months out on getting concrete tile.
Jesus.
So 8 months before the storm. Have you ever been to like the Punta Gorda or Cape Coral area?
No.
Tiles for miles. Like, it's really concrete tile everywhere you can see. And and this client, it's a very large client. So if they're having that issue before the storm, imagine what it's going to be now, and that's terrible. Like, what's going to happen to those people? So, a lot of people are smart, right? These business owners know that they may not have the bandwidth or the capability to, even if they do somehow have a license in Florida, which some of them do, most of them don't. But that's the first hurdle. But if somehow they do, they still don't have the bandwidth to be able to go to Florida and get out and get material, get crews, and get all these things. So they're smart about it, right? They're going to team up with companies that have been here a while, or bigger companies, and really utilize their reach and their bandwidth and go help them out, right? So you see something that it brings me back probably 5 years in the roofing industry, right? We're in this phase of the roofing industry that's this rapid expansion phase, right? You and I have talked about this before, how anybody and their brother really can go open a roofing company right now. and have some success. You know,
Yeah.
guys like yourself that is really helping people that aren't familiar with marketing, or you know, lots of different gurus. People give gurus a bad term. It's not that bad of a term, right? It's people trying to help people learn the roofing business that didn't get the opportunity that someone like myself was afforded, right? Sure. So you got these companies popping up everywhere, and that's really only happened in the last 5 years. Before that, most of these major players that you see worked under 1 to 5 different guys, right? Yeah. And so they're migrating back. It's like a homecoming almost, right? They're going back to these guys they worked for years and years ago, and all coming together under one roof. There's 3 or 4 companies that probably have 250 project managers, like sales reps alone, all here trying to help out and restore these properties.
That's a really interesting point. What do you view as the most challenging component of those that are looking to come in and help rebuild these communities from out of state?
I think the most challenging, the one thing that you can't just overcome, is the material allocation. Right? I mean, if you can't get material, you can't get material. The laws are really tough, and I did touch on the laws because we got to put a disclaimer out that I'm not a lawyer and I cannot give advice, right?
I'm not a lawyer either, so both disclaimers are out. We're good.
Right, I'm perfectly fine giving you my opinion on what's going on right now, but the laws are very scary, and that's a big challenge and a big hump. So, you know, the laws are probably the second most, right? They pass a lot of new laws in the state of Florida. It's almost like the legislation was trying to kick roofers out of the state, right? And a lot of people are very scared about it. Even big players that could do very well and could really help a lot of people right now are not here yet because they don't know what they're going to do. They don't know how to sign contracts. They don't know how to meet with insurance companies. They don't know how to market. You know, I know one thing that I want to talk to you about is advice when it comes to that, because basically, you know, to kind of sum it up, you cannot market that you're an insurance specialist unless you're a public adjuster. You can't be a public adjuster and a contractor, right? So even if you did have your license. So think about those unlicensed practicing public adjusting laws that come into play that's going to hurt a whole lot of people if you can't even go in. Most people pitch in other states. Most people in the industry are in other states, and they're going out there pitching that, man, I'm an advocate for you, for your insurance company, right? I'm going to represent you and negotiate with your insurance company. If you come down here to Florida and say that, you're going to jail. Like, it's not a game. They're arresting people, right? And so a lot of people are scared. They're like, how am I supposed to market? How do my guys talk to people without breaking those laws? And, you know, I've got a lot of advice to give because I read up on it. I keep myself informed about it. Obviously, we make roofing videos for roofing companies. Yeah. It makes a big difference if they can't use our videos in the state. But the good news is they can, right? No legislator can stop you from doing business, right? If your job is as a roofer to come in and help all these people after the storm, they're not going to stop you from doing that. The bottom line is there's damage to these properties and you're here to fix them. It's between you and that property owner. You know, you don't have to come in and be this insurance specialist and tell them to file a claim and promise them that all the roofs are going to get bought. That's really been the issue over the last few years. People are working marginal damage and they're promising homeowners that their insurance company is going to pay to get them a brand new roof. And, you know, it's hurting the insurance industry. It's hurting the storm restoration industry. And the biggest problem is over-promising and under-delivering. So really, if you're coming down here, and hopefully you're coming down here to work for a larger company that is that's really got the shit together right now, you know, not trying to come down here and do things illegally. You come work for somebody who already has it down. And then from there, you just go out and tell them you're a roofer. I'm here to help you. I'm here to put your roof back together. You give them a price. This is what it's going to cost to do it, right? This is what I'm going to charge. You can tell them that I'll wait on your insurance company. You can tell them that, your insurance company will pay you. You can tell them things like that, but you can't advise them like you're some sort of expert or negotiate anything,
Right.
And that's what's really important, right?
Yeah, and I think even in store markets, like especially in store markets, because you run into situations like this from like the marketing side, because that's what I do. I'm not an attorney, I'm not a roofer, but I know marketing and advertising. Like this is where brand and building brand equity comes into play, and it's so powerful, right? And being proactive in your messaging, being clear, concise, and consistent as far as who you are as a company, what you represent as a company, and having that consistently out in front of your target audience, it becomes paramount in situations like these. So, especially in the case of Florida, where you've got these limitations from a legislative perspective. I know that there's been kind of some flip-flop as far as like what they initially implemented. And I don't know where that stands right now, but what I do know is that there is a lot of uncertainty as far as like, what can we do? What can't we do? Is it black and white? Is it kind of discretionary? And like, how do we err on the side of caution as to make sure that we're not vulnerable simply by just going out and trying to advertise or to get in front of homeowners to help them restore their property, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be on the wrong end of that, and especially when it's new, and like you don't want to be the person that's made the example of, right?
Yeah. They're looking for heads. I
So
talked to a lawyer yesterday, and he said the legislation is looking to hang people up by their toes.
Yeah.
Or toenails. Yeah, it just hurt me because I like my toenails. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That sounds really painful, and
yeah.
not something that I want to be open to and subject to. So it's like, yeah. So like branding, like take brand building seriously. It should always be a component of your company. I've got a client in Tampa, and they've got literally like 300 leads over the last 5 days. Of people that have been impacted. And it's sheerly based off their visibility on Google, right? So and this isn't supposed to be like a self-promo post or live, but there's a lot of, what I find in the store industry especially is a lot of time there's a divide. You can do online marketing, you can do door knocking, right? And almost as if those two things are mutually exclusive, but they can coexist and they can work together very, very, very well. So that would be, my advice is, definitely for other markets that are going to be potentially, experiencing an event like that. It's, take your branding seriously and be proactive in trying to increase your visibility.
Yeah. Did you have any of your clients down here ask you to change their website or anything like that?
What's that?
Did you have any clients around here ask you to change their website or anything like that with different terminology after all these laws or anything like that?
Yeah, like around a year ago.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything where they were really geared. I mean, he was predominantly geared towards retail. He wasn't really doing any type of insurance claims. But even the small amount of content that we had as far as like attracting people that are searching for that type of thing to the site, we made some modifications to the content to make sure that they wouldn't be vulnerable. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I would say just remove the word insurance off of everything. Remove the word claims off of all your marketing material. That's probably the best advice I could give with that. I mean, you're a roofer and you do storm damage and you're a great roofer. You can continue to advertise that you do roofing services. You can continue to advertise that you're here to help. And like you said, branding, and it becomes about branding. It's more about, hey, we're here to help. We can do roofs. We have crews available. We have tarps available. We have shrink wrap available. We have peel and stick available, and we're here to help. Like, call us now. And those are the type of like advertisements that are going to do the best right now, and that's going to protect you against any type of legal issues. Again, that's not legal advice, but that's my opinion from talking.
Yeah, this is not or should not be construed as legal advice. I have not.
Can we get a disclaimer right here?
Yeah. That's a really good point, and like I I will say, like, I see a lot of people. We're in a bunch of the few Facebook communities, and they're a great resource for a lot of things. And this isn't to belittle anybody, but when it comes to an accountant and an attorney, those are two things you should never skimp out on, and you should always lean on them for advice. As great as it is to rely on peers for information, don't go into community groups looking for legal advice.
Yeah.
You know.
Please
Hopefully, I don't ruffle too many feathers with that. But
I'll ruffle the feathers. I see people that, it's obvious they've been in the business less than 5 years, and they're copy and pasting stuff that they read somewhere else. It's like, man, like you've got to trust your resources. Somebody, I think it was Conrad, posted earlier. He was like, go to a PA, talk to a PA. That's what a lot of these companies are doing, right? PAs and attorneys. That you can tell your clients straight up that, look, I may know the answers to your questions, but I can't answer them, right?
Yeah.
Call a PA. Call them. Put it on speakerphone. I have multiple relationships with multiple PAs and attorneys that they'll take my phone call and you can put it on speakerphone. I can't tell you that, but this guy can, right? It's that simple, right? So utilize your resources. We can joke about people giving misinformation from community groups, but what about making these relationships that you've been building all year with different various PAs and attorneys? Utilize that, right? You have resources. You have a network. You've been going to events. You've been going to conferences. You've probably been out to eat with these guys, maybe out to the bar with these guys. Well, now's the time to utilize your resources. Call them, ask them for advice, send people their way, because it's going to make your life a lot easier. Then you don't have to stress, right? I don't have to stress that if I'm going to jail for insurance fraud, if I'm referring everything over to a public adjuster or an attorney, right? That's a very good way to operate right now in the state of Florida.
Point. So, and I think it's an opportunity to educate your customer as well, right? This is going to be the process. I'm a roofer. This is going to be the process, and this is the process because X, Y, and Z, right? And you talk about the recent changes as far as what you can or cannot convey to a customer as a roofer, and that helps build your credibility. And inherently, in doing that, if they've got somebody else, right, that's doing exactly what you're saying can't be done from like a legal perspective, I mean, I guess that's a tactful way of kind of discrediting those people that came before or after you without being the guy that's bashing a competitor, but really an educated consumer.
Yeah. No, I think that works great. I think that's an obvious way to do it. My gimbal's messing up a little bit over here. Little technical difficulties. But yeah, I think that's a great way to do it, is to refer other people. A big thing that I keep seeing, there's a couple different things that I keep seeing that's clearly wrong, right? Some people think they can come in and help, which we need all the help we can get. The whole state of Florida needs all the help they can get. But some people think they can come out and do tarps or do little work here and there, and you can't without a license. You need a license to do anything in the state of Florida, right? And with that, you need workers' comp. You need general liability. So, make sure that you know the laws. Make sure that you're consulting with a local company or a large contractor before you do it, right? But then on the other side of that coin, don't let any of that discourage you. Because more than anything, we need help. Everybody in Florida needs help. So if you're sitting there like on the edge, should I go to Florida? Should I do this? Should I do that? The answer is yes. It's absolutely. Just do it the right way. Like, call somebody that you trust and go work for them. Don't try to cowboy it, right? Don't go in there and run and gun and try to do it all yourself and get greedy. Come in here for the right reasons. There's so much money to be made in this storm. I mean, it's obvious. And there's nothing wrong with trying to make money in business. You're in business to make money. So you can come out here and say you're coming out here to make money, but do it for the right reasons. Have good intentions. Help people first. Provide value, and the money will come as a byproduct, right? So come out here to help people. Come out here and work under somebody else that knows what they're doing, that's doing things legally, that's truly going to help you and benefit everybody. And everybody's going to win, right? The storm, everybody you know that's in Florida or that's coming to Florida is probably going to make more in the next 9 months than they have anywhere else in their life, right? But they're going to do that because they're doing things the right way. They're not misleading property owners. They're here to help first, and they're partnering up with people that have more bandwidth and more reach than they do.
So for that guy that's on the edge, guy, gal, company, out of state that's on the edge, and they want to help, but they don't have someone in their network in Florida, so they don't know who they can trust. What would be an action plan in your mind for them to be able to find somebody that they can partner with? And are there certain questions or certain things that they should do in their approach to find that person or that company?
Yeah, ask them things that we've talked about, right? Things that you have questioned with, right? You got to ask them the tough questions. Like, what do you plan on doing about these laws? How do you plan on paying me? And that's another big thing, right? Is money, right? At the end of the day, if you're coming out here to help, you also need to be paid at the end of all this. Storms like this, I don't care how big you are or how big you think you are. I could tell you a story about, a company back in the day that did 300 million in a hurricane and went out of business in 6 months, right? It does not matter how big you are, you can still fail when it comes to these, right? There's a lot of liability. It's very tough out here. So you need to find a company that's as financially stable as possible to make sure that after your hard work, when you go back home to your families, that you get paid. Look around. There's a lot of good companies around here. I personally would go with a bigger company. It's hard for me to recommend any one or any multiple because I have a ton of clients that are all really good. You could find a good smaller local company and help them out as well, but know that you'll be limited with their resources. Buying power just comes into play. It just does. If you're not buying a lot of material, whether that's tile roofs, and there's different companies that I would recommend with different stuff that you plan on selling. What's your game plan? If you're sitting on the edge and you want to sell, if you want to help quickly, you want to make money quickly, and you want to get home for the holidays, right? Then you want to go after smaller shingle roofs. You want to get those jobs taken care of quickly and get paid out quickly. But now maybe it is that you want to make the most money as possible, right? Then you want to go after big tile roofs and concrete tile and commercial properties. And there's different companies that I would align myself with in all of those scenarios and all of those occasions, and different strategies with the claim, like, utilizing the PAs and the attorneys. Sometimes it takes longer, but utilizing them, it's going to get paid appropriately, right? Because they can negotiate with the insurance companies. They can make sure that the property owner and the property is protected. You're going to need to do a lot of research, right? I'm happy to help give advice to anybody. If anybody wants to reach out to me.
Not legal advice.
What? Not legal advice. Not legal advice.
Where would you prefer people reach out to you for help?
Just slide in my DMs, man.
Slide in DMs.
Slide in my DMs, right?
So Jordan Harrison, shout out to Jordan. He had a post the other day saying slide in my DMs. Be gentle.
Be gentle. Yeah, that's great.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot here. One question that you would have to ask, that you'd want to ask a prospective company that you're looking to go work for, partners. The most important question.
The most important question is, what's your production plan? How does your production process work? Right. Gotcha. So that's it, right? It's not what you can sell, it's what you can build.
Sure.
Getting a permit is a nightmare. Even if they can buy the materials, what's your permit process, right? What's your relationship with the permit office, right? I was talking to a guy the other day that used to run production for a family member of mine, and he said, "Man, I had these do's and don'ts. I had this list of SOPs for meeting inspectors with the city, and one city and one municipality literally said, open the door for them. Like, you better be there when that inspector comes to open the damn door for them, or you're getting denied, right? And if you get denied inspection, you're at the bottom of the list. The whole permit process starts back over.
Cold world.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a nightmare, man. There's a lot of, and it's good. Don't make me, don't take me the wrong way. I love that Florida is this way, right?
Sure.
They protect their citizens. They're going to make sure that they're proper legal companies and legal crews, and the roofs are done the right way because they have hurricanes like this.
Right.
So it's all a good thing. But if you're sitting on that fence and you're talking to roofing companies, ask them what their production process is like, and then ask them how much is in the bank account. Those are the two things. I want to see it, right? If you don't have that proven track record that you have the ability to spend millions right now, not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, millions, then I wouldn't want to work with them.
Yeah, because a lot of these claims, I'm sure they'll be tied up, especially going with a PA and an attorney. If it gets to that point, like, it's not going to be a quick resolve, right?
Yeah.
So liquidity and cash flow is super important.
And I want to protect my client. I want to help them. I don't want to have to wait until that final dollar's collected to start the work. Right? There's companies out there that can start the work before the final dollar's collected because they have deep pockets. And who does that help? That helps that property owner. That's going to get them back in their home. That matters to me, right? When I go out here, I'm giving them, and here I am speaking like I'm a roofer, and I'm not a roofer anymore, right? But I've just done this before many, many years, and that's what I care about. It's sitting at that kitchen table across people that are typically in tears. This is their property. This is their home. Their kids don't have a place to sleep at night. Their mattresses are soaked, and you want to help them, right? You want to put them back in their home as soon as possible. So that's, again, why I would rather personally go with a larger company that has the bandwidth to facilitate that and get them back in that property sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. Hey, I appreciate all the value you brought today. Hopefully the audience as well. You've got Alan Mick with Just Share Media. I'm Mike Stearns with Ascend Digital Agency, and we go.
Let's go.